So today on Vision Sunday, I want you to, if you would, just picture this future. It's a preferred future that we have, and it's a result of internalizing the book of Acts. Not just the past couple weeks, but in preparation over the past several months. I can see the Spirit-filled Church of Jesus, where everyone is filled to overflowing. Everyone gave what they already had in the book of Acts. Every need in the church was met. And I can see it, and you can read it for yourself. Every single person was included. So here's how I want to kind of just summarize what we're envisioning, and that is that we as a church are living beyond our borders. Whatever our borders are, whatever we're comfortable with, whatever we're satisfied with, whatever we're used to, whatever we're familiar with, we just start to move beyond those borders. Well, do I mean these borders called the walls of the church? Not necessarily, but also that I can picture people who are distressed finding relief through our church family. I can picture our church family experiencing freedom, joy. So imagine a whole church that is committed to whole life, open-handed, open-hearted generosity. Imagine the whole church giving, reaching beyond the borders, beyond status quo, beyond the four walls, beyond what comfort zones we've already created for ourselves. Every member and attender deciding, choosing, opening themselves, that they would be someone who is willing to live, to give. That they live this year and they're focused on learning to be someone that God uses as they live to give. That becomes a priority and a focus. Well, what does that mean? Well, we envision, this is what we picture. I hope you can see this clear enough. You see this okay? Give me a nod if you can see this okay. The contrast is okay? Thank God for that. We envision a deep work of the Holy Spirit. So what I picture in the future is not a gathering up of willpower. What I picture is that the Holy Spirit does a deep work, and it happens in our heart, and that our heart is so transformed and affected that it's God in you who is doing the work. Not something that you are convinced of intellectually, but you're moved on the inside, and it's a work of the Holy Spirit that stops you. What do I mean stops you? I mean that it stops you long enough to ask, where is my life invested? Where is my treasure going? How much more of what I have do I need? That's what I mean. When I say the Holy Spirit stops you and helps you ask questions like, how much more do I need? Where's my treasure going? Where am I invested? What do I have presently? What do I already have presently that I could be giving as someone who is willing to live to give? So we see here that this Holy Spirit isn't just stopping you, but also stretching you beyond, right? That is, that it's stretching you to begin, or it is stretching you to bump up to something new and different. And it's beyond the generosity level that I've been comfortable with. What do I mean comfortable? By the way, the Holy Spirit is working in you to do this, not working through someone else, but working in you, not compared to other givers, but compared to where your heart's right now, beyond new or next level giving. And generosity, by the way, is it about releasing your wealth? And is it about releasing yourself? Well, in some sense it is, but there's something more important that it releases. Check this out. Dave Benner teaches this. He says, generosity is not about giving away what we have, but about releasing what has a hold on us. Isn't that good? Let me ask you a question. How many of you've had a long journey of generosity over the course of time, and you could say, and I don't want you to answer this just because I'm putting you on the spot, but I wonder if this is something, who has experienced this, that in your journey of generosity, you have learned that it's not about giving away what you have. You're realizing that what you're really learning is that you're finding out that generosity is releasing you from what has a hold on you. How many of you have discovered that in your journey of giving? I have. I'm like, I'm giving stuff away, and then God's slowly showing me, no, that had a hold on you. That had a hold on you. And what else happens to givers? Check this out. The world of the generous gets larger and larger. The world of the stingy gets smaller and smaller. Who wrote that in Proverbs? Proverbs, according to the Message. Beautiful picture there of what happens. And if you're a giver, you've experienced that. Your world gets bigger, you get more connected, you get more networked, your compassion grows for needs, right? And the stingier gets smaller and smaller and smaller. The walls start to close in, and so on. So here's what I picture. In our Jerusalem, our church family ministries, we have more and more people among our church family who are living to give into and invest themselves in our church ministries. Do you have time for this? Is it okay? 2 people nodded. I know, I hear you. So every member and every attender is giving more of whatever they have. More of whatever they have to and inside and among the church family. That is a picture that I can see so clearly in our Jerusalem. Every church ministry this year, the ministry team is full. Not scrambling, not filling slots, not using somebody's willingness over and over and over again, but every ministry team is full. Also, this is hard to actually say out loud because I realize this, I don't have any control of this, but I can picture among our church family, get this, because this is what I think God can do. I don't have any idea how I would accomplish this or any of you would, but here in our church family, I can picture every need is met. Every need is met. Doesn't matter what it is. And that's kind of bold to say, but when I read the book of Acts and I see what was happening there when the Spirit was at work and the church was thriving, you know what was happening to their needs? They were being met over and over and over. By who? By the church. The church for the church, through the church. And I can picture that in our Jerusalem, that every need is met. Physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, all the needs are met. Do you know that this is hard to describe this to you while it's happening because most people don't go public with this, but do you know that every year, it's the same in 2023, a regular church family contributor, someone who is engaged and giving, unexpectedly loses critical income and they can't make a rent or a mortgage payment? Do you know that? Every year it happens. Several years since COVID, it's several times a year. And do you know that I get the thrill representing our church trustees, our trustee board, who represents you, I get the thrill of telling them that, do you know that someone in our church family has given for this specific reason in a fund called the Benevolence Fund, and we can pay your rent sometimes for multiple months or mortgage so that you can get out of the woods here and get back on your feet. Do you know, I can't tell you how fun it is to say, I'm going to tell you about how someone else has given to this. Not me, someone else has done this. And that need, right? So we all need our mortgage to be paid or our rent to be paid every month, right? That's a pretty big need. Some people, they just need it to be paid this month or next month to get out of the woods. But you know what I mean? To get back up on their feet and then they can roll again, they can pay their own mortgage. They can pay their own rent. They can get their income back that they had depended on. North Central Church is able to make that payment for them, and the reason is because there's a fund that some of you give to. And when it happens, it's hard for me not to say, hey, can we do this like publicly? Can you see why that's kind of like, I don't say that to them, but that's what I'm thinking, because I want the church family to see our generosity is meeting needs and making a difference. We'll talk about some of that tonight. Every need met in the church family. Also, we have a Judea. Really quick, a couple more. We have a Judea. What is our Judea? Well, I asked you to envision this with me, our church leaders did. Our kids' space would be a way in which we could love our neighbors and build trust right into their families and right into their homes by taking care of their kids through childcare, discipling their kids on a Sunday, telling stories of who God is and what Jesus means. And that led to building a space, building a building. And so, where are we with the Kids Central building? Well, we took out a mortgage. We have debt on it. Tonight we'll talk about where we are on that debt. But the vision, I can completely and clearly see a time in the near future we are debt-free and that building is family full. Debt-free building, family full. And that the money that is being invested to pay down the debt is now satisfied, and that same money now is invested in building programs to reach families, love families, to care for their kids, disciple their families. I can picture that. Build kids' programs after we've finished what we've started in building a kids' space. So, lastly, Samaria. So we've got Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, local and global missions, every mission and missionary. This is what I picture. Every mission locally, every missionary is supported and encouraged. Every mission and every missionary that we have partnered with is supported and encouraged. We extend our reach and upgrade our support. I can envision extending our reach, and I can envision gathering some people together and helping to upgrade our support of our local and global missionaries. That can be done. How is it done? It's done through a thriving church that lives to give and that is focused beyond their borders. And the Holy Spirit is doing the work and is stopping us and then stretching us, and we start to leave where we were comfortable and we start to get more uncomfortable. I don't mean reckless, but I mean full of faith. I mean full of faith. Jerusalem, ministry. Judea, mortgage. Samaria, missions. God at work in us, thriving. And by the way, when the church was healthy in the book of Acts, God was adding to their number thousands. I'll let him take care of all that stuff, not focused on that. You know what I'm focused on? We are healthy and thriving, generous people, and God's at work doing something special. We all have time to give, talent to give, and treasure to give. We all have it. God's given it to us. Some of us have more than others. Now, some of you might think, that's a lot, and I think that might be too much. I don't know what other time, talent, or treasure I have to give. Let me remind you, it was Anne Frank who said, no one has ever become poor. No one started wealthy and then became poor because they gave too much. Never ended up accidentally. And here's the reason why. This is why. The more you give, the more comes back to you. Because God is the greatest giver in the universe, and He won't let you outgive Him. He won't let you get to the part where you're like, I gave everything I had, and it's been a long time, and I don't have anything. It's not how it works. The more you give, God's like, you think that's special? Bam, I'm giving you a lot more than that. Is it why we do it? No, but it's a principle of what happens to generous people. God is the greatest giver in the universe. He won't let you outgive Him, so go ahead and try and see what happens. Randy Alcorn says that. So, this year we're going to tell Live to Give stories. Every Sunday, this is not the only thing, but one of the things every month on a Sunday, we'll be telling you from our own church family, people have their own Live to Give stories. And we're going to tell you once a month on a Sunday, we're going to let you hear the stories of how God has given us so much and is using our church family to meet needs and to live beyond our borders. Some people who are giving to Jerusalem, some people are giving to Judea, some Samaria. And that's what you're going to hear along with other things.